Hi everyone, my name is Mariah Retzlaff. I am a Gold Elite 3-star director, and today I wanted to talk to you about home parties and to give you a little bit of basic training about how to do home parties. If you are new to our team, or maybe you're not new, but you haven't actually had a chance to do a home party yet, I want to just go over, some ideas, the basics to take you through from what to think about before the party, during the party, after the party, and just a lot of tips and tricks along the way about home party basics. With Facebook parties, there's many different ways to do Facebook parties, of course. There's the 1 hour party, the 3 day party, maybe you do a 5 day party, maybe you do a live Facebook party, but there's so many different ways to do that. And just like that, there's so many different ways to do the home party. So I'm going to give you just some good ideas, maybe a starting point, but it's not the only way to do home parties. There's definitely many other ways to do home parties as well. But the advantage to home parties over Facebook parties is, of course, that you have guests with you, customers with you, and you get that interaction, that FaceTime. And most importantly, they get to touch the Tupperware and feel the Tupperware at the party. So that's really the magic of the home party. So questions don't go back and forth to take a few hours. Questions happen right then, and you can get that conversation, and customers can get a feel for you, and you can get a feel for them, and you get to know each other. So there's a lot of magic for the home party. And I just wanted to make everyone a little more comfortable with it if you've never tried it. With Facebook parties, we often have the advantage of our upline, our director, or maybe your recruiter has worked with you to show you how to do a Facebook party. But unfortunately, for many of us, we don't live right next to our upline or your recruiter. So then you can't just do that with a home party in the same way. So if you are willing to try it, I've got some great tips, and I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. And I hope that you can learn something out of this training. And if you do, please feel free to leave it in a comment below. Tag your director. I'd love to know what tips you are getting the most out of to try your home parties, okay? So if you've never done a home party, it's a great place to start with a close family member or a close friend or maybe your best customer. Someone that you are feeling the most comfortable with is a good place to start. Of course, there's always a starting point for everyone. So the way that I describe it here, if you even do, part of that, that will be perfectly fine. Everybody has to start somewhere, and nobody expects you to be perfect when you start, right? But in-person parties, it's all good. It all works out absolutely fine, however you end up doing your party, okay? So anyone can host a home party, and even if they have a small home, or if they have kids, or if they have pets, anybody can host a home party. And if you're talking to people or to potential hosts about hosting, sometimes they are feeling a little uncertain because they just don't know what to expect, right? They don't know what does a Tupperware party look like inside my home. So if you just go through a little explanation and explain, we're just going to use your kitchen table and your kitchen. You don't have to clean your whole house. Just clean those areas, maybe clean your bathroom, maybe clean a path between the two of them. And that's all you need. We're going to make some food together. You don't have to do a whole bunch of prep work ahead of time. Usually in a traditional party, you have friends over, you do all this work to make the food. Don't do that. We're going to do that together. So you want to make it as simple as possible for your host. And if you're explaining that to a potential host, sometimes it can really put their mind at ease, and then they will be more willing to throw a Tupperware party with you, okay? But then there's on the flip side, there's other people, if you ask them, they will just jump right on that ship because they love hosting parties. They love having people over, and all you have to do is offer. And they might just really love to have their friends over to their house, and they just need an excuse to do it, right? So there's both sides of the coin. But make sure you're always offering it as an option if you're willing to give it a shot. And you might be surprised by who is willing to do that and to say yes, right? But home party really means you're just getting together with your friends, or the host is getting together with her friends at a location. So it could also be outside on their patio or their backyard, or it could maybe be at their mom's house, right? If their mom has a better social kitchen, for that type of thing, it could be over there. It doesn't have to be at every single person's home. There's always ways to work around it if you start to think about it, right? So let's say you have a host for your home party. They are willing to do it. Usually you're going to be booking these about 1 to 3 weeks down the road. Facebook parties, we love to wing it, right? You can do a Facebook party and you can start that tomorrow and it will still be very successful. Home parties would be a little bit different though, because many people have plans for a week or two, down the road, maybe more. So they can't just show up at your door the next day kind of thing. So usually you book a Facebook party 1 to 3 weeks in advance. So let's say you have a host, you want to set a date, and the beauty of this is it works around your schedule, right? When you are working your Tupperware business, it goes around your schedule. So if you know that your kids maybe have events, or you work in the evenings, or you work in the daytime, you're going to go around that and then try to find a date that works for the host and as many people as she can, but realizing, of course, that you're not going to be able to get every single person to be able to find a date that works for everyone. So try to get your host, especially if they're not one of the more comfortable people who, they're not really one that loves hosting, try to get them to find a date that works for them and they're kind of quote unquote VIPs. So if it's maybe their mom, maybe their sister, maybe their best friend, whoever will be at the party for them, that's really the most important person to be there. Try to find a date that works for the host and that person and just go from there and hope that most of the rest are able to attend, but you just can't get a date that is absolutely perfect usually, right? So one other difference between Facebook parties and home parties is the Facebook party, you can't just have a handful of people attending. You have to have closer to that number of 30 if you want to make it a successful party. But with home parties, that number is going to be a lot different. It doesn't have to be 30 people crammed into a kitchen to make it successful, right? The number is more closer to 7 or 8. And if you have 7 or 8 people at your home party, that will be a successful home party. And that's usually a perfect amount of people to have discussion going, conversations, but yet, it's not just 2 people talking, it's a bigger group. So make sure you bring that up with the host and, talk about who they could invite, give them ideas, go through your frank list, which is friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, and kid contacts. So go through that with them if they are, kind of just drawing a blank and they don't know who they would even invite to their home party. Give them some ideas because everyone loves an invite to a party, right? But try to get them to shoot for that number of 8 people in attendance. Probably want to invite a bit more than that, right? Because not everyone will be able to attend, but give them that number so that they have that goal in their mind as well, right? And heading into the home party, you want to make sure that you have a goal as well for the party. So depending on where you're at in your business, that might look different for you than it will look for someone else. But have that goal that the host can at least qualify for a standard party, right? So you want them to get to that about $650 in host rewards so they can get 2 half price and they can get a good amount of free credit. And also make sure that you try to get them the 2 bookings. So if there's a host bonus on, to get like the double host credit, or maybe it's just a bonus item, you want your host to be able to get the most from their party. So make it your goal to get 2 people to book a party off of their party, right? And have that set in your mind. And then, of course, we want to always be welcoming new team members into our team. So have that your goal as well, that you want to get at least 1 new team member, or maybe it's at least 2 new team members that join your party at this home party, right? So when you book your party, 2 to 3 weeks or wherever you are in advance of 1 week maybe, you want to give them something called a host folder or as much of the host folder as you have. These used to be available in Tupperware as sales aids. I couldn't find them right now when I checked, but fortunately, Cora provides these on the TOTL store. So if you haven't gone to the website, www.totlstore.com. Go there and check it out. You can get these. It's got these cute little eco bottles along the side. It's got some people here. It's got some Tupperware on the back. So it's a fun folder. You give this to your host when they book so that they can get excited about their party. And if it's party is, you know, like 2 or 3 weeks away, you want them to stay excited for their party. So I'm just going to open it up here and show you guys what it contains, okay? So I've got it, sorry, my background cuts out a bit. I've got it filled with some things here. But first of all is catalogs. I've stuffed about 3 to 5 catalogs inside this folder, and that's not for their party, but it's for them to collect orders before their party and for them to flip through, right? So you want that host flipping through here right away and, you know, getting a feel for the products, getting excited, because this is the stuff they can get free, right? So we want them to get excited about this, but they can also pass it out. So if maybe they have a lot of family gatherings, or maybe they have a day job, they go to work, they can pass this out to their coworkers and say, hey, I'm having a party, you know, invite that coworker. But if they can't attend the party themselves, they can pass them this catalog, and there's order forms in here as well. So we've got some catalogs, we've got some order forms, and we have a sales brochure, well, a few sales brochures. So if someone can't attend their party after they're invited, the host can easily give them this little collection and say, no problem, if you're interested in ordering, here's all the information, here's the sales, you're going to have your contact information on the back of the catalog, right? Always make sure that your contact, your name and your phone number is on here. So if this is passed out by the host, and you hope that they are, that they can contact you if they want to place an order that way, or if they have any questions about the products, right? So if your host passes this out to her invites or to her friends, it may come back to you, but it may not. But if your name is on there, then that is really good for future business, right? So if your host collects some orders, that's a great thing. These order forms, this one here is a bit outdated, but order forms are also available on the TOTL store. You can get some sheets of order forms, so I highly recommend doing that, because you know, they might not contact you, but if they write it all here and pass it back to the host with cash, that is perfect. That is all you need to get them an order for that Tupperware party, okay? So I've got 3 to 5 catalogs in here. I've got about 5 sales brochures. And I have order forms. I've talked about all of those. And then I also have in here, this is the top half price list for hosts. So Cora puts this out. It also comes by email. You can find it on top of the line. So these are half price selections for hosts. And this gets the host thinking about what might be on their wish list, right? Like what's on the top of their wish list. We have the Stack Cooker, the Micro Pro Grill, Crystal Wave set, Freezer Mate set, Fridge Smart set, and those are all in here with the current prices and what they would get it for half off. So that's really gets your host thinking about it. And on the flip side, this is the host rewards. So we have here exactly what their party, or you can't see that super well, exactly what, if their party reaches, you know, 625, they're going to get 15% back. If their party reaches 1250, they're going to get 20% back in free credit, right? So these are all listed on here for them to look at and check out as they wait for their party date to arrive. So this is going to help to keep them excited for their party. And the last thing I have in here is the current sample sheet. So this is if you want your team member, of course, to join your team and flip that host, and you want them to join your team and be a part of it. The sample prices are listed on here so they know what kind of great deals they will get. The one thing I did not remember to put in here is also you could put in here the welcome offer, right? And you can put on here the kit bundle so they know that's something available to them too to get at their party. So when you pass this to your host, when they book a party, it depends if they book it in person, right? Or if they book it online, you might not be actually in person with them to pass them this folder. And then you would want it to get to them somehow before their party. But when you pass it to them, when they book their party, you want to just kind of open it up and give them a quick explanation of it, because they might not be familiar with what the sales brochures look like, right? And you want them to know if they're talking to their friends, these are the sales. These are what, you know, you want to make sure you have a look at those, and you want to explain that sample pricing, explain the kit bundle and what that is, right? So just give them a little heads up before their party so they can look at it and browse that information, but just give a little short explanation about what it actually is, right? So then if we are about a week away from your party date coming up, or maybe you booked it a week before and then you'd want to do this right off the bat. It's time to start thinking about the recipes. So at a home party, we like to do demonstrations to show off the Tupperware, but you have to pick those recipes ahead of time. And you want to make sure you are keeping it simple and easy for home parties. You don't want to have, 20 ingredients going into a recipe that's going to cook for an hour. You want it to be something that maybe you don't have to cook at all, or if you do cook it, it's going to be fairly quick, ready to eat and enjoy, and for guests to taste it at the party, okay? So keep it simple and easy. Just have a few ingredients and let your host know not to prepare food ahead of time. And some people just love making food. They love having people over. They love making a huge spread of food. And if that is your host, they might find it difficult not to do that. They might find it difficult to just, no, we're going to make food together. So make sure you are clear on that and say, let's pick some recipes. We're going to do them together. Don't feel the need to make any other food. We'll just have this, if you're making a dip, then your host would want to provide crackers or pretzel to go with that dip maybe. But they don't need to make all that effort to make it, chopping and prepping all these other dishes, because you're going to do that together. So I suggest providing the host with a few recipes to choose from, so that they know what they like to eat, but they hopefully know their friends a little bit as well, and they're going to lean towards one recipe or another maybe. But you can kind of sway it. So you're going to give them a choice of 48 recipes and get them to pick 2 or 3 recipes max. So you don't want to be cooking all night during your Tupperware party. So depending on what the recipes are, if they're a longer one, you probably would only want to pick 2. Maybe there's a few short ones, then you could lean towards just doing 3 recipes. So you're going to have a little flexibility there. But provide them with the recipes, and it's always a good idea to choose one with a supersonic chopper, because the supersonic chopper is in our membership bundle, right? So you want to be able to show that off as much as possible. It's a fabulous item, right? And you really have to see it in action to get the full potential out of it. So I would pick out of the recipes I'm providing for the host, I would pick maybe 2 or 3 recipes that are just supersonic chopper. And I'm going to say, pick one of these recipes that you would love to make the most. And then for my second bunch of recipes, I'd try to target it towards either the welcome bonus or the party bonus, or maybe one of the bigger items that's on sale. So depending on what those are, they change every month, right? But for example, if the party bonus was the pressure cooker, then I would provide some pressure cooker recipes and say, well, pick one of these recipes that you would like to make for your friends, or we're going to make it together with your friends. So then they choose, one from the supersonic chunk and one from the pressure cooker chunk. And they are still choosing the recipes, but you're kind of pushing them towards which ones to choose, instead of just sending them, 30 recipes and say, well, pick whichever ones you want, right? You want to kind of give them those options, because we want to be showing those items off at our parties. You want to show off the welcome bonus, because that's what new members can get when they join your team and submit an order. You want to show off the party bonus, because that's what new team members can get when they host a party, right? So that's going to give you more party bookings and new team members. So you want to be showing those off in action, in person at the home party, and people will love seeing them. And it's fabulous food that these items can make, right? So one thing I will say though is, if you don't have the items, don't pick those recipes. So if you are new, our Confident Start program gives us an excellent chance to earn many of the bigger items. So I have a Confident Start program handy here. But you can earn the Great Master, you can earn the mandolin, you can earn the pressure cooker or the Micro Pro Grill for absolutely free. So you can work towards earning those. But if you don't have them yet, it doesn't make it a good idea to choose pressure cooker recipes if you don't actually have a pressure cooker, right? And if you are fortunate enough to live close to someone that maybe you can ask to borrow theirs, then absolutely, go for it. But if you don't have it, don't choose that recipe, and that's perfectly fine. Just use the Tupperware that you have and choose those recipes to work around that, okay? So some recipes I would suggest: like for the supersonic chopper, dips work really well. The dill pickle dip, the salsa, those recipes work really well because they show off how it can chop and how it can mix at the same time. And there's guacamole, like there are endless amounts of recipes that you can find for that. And if you're looking for recipes, like, you know, I say recipes, but how will you actually find the recipes? Here's where you can look, okay? So TOTL, top of the line, our main group here has so much information. If you go to the albums, you will find there is a Choppers album filled with recipes, and there is a pressure cooker album filled with recipes, a stack cooker recipe filled with recipes, and those are all really good ones to just browse through and check them out. And another one to do would be our TOTL product groups. So for example, Tupperware stack cooker with top of the line. If you are not in those product groups, you can find them in top of the line under our featured tabs. Just scroll on down there and you'll find them all, join them all, and those have so many resources and so many recipes as well. So you can find them there. Another great place is our webinar album. So our Sunday webinars or our webinar album, people add to them all the time. We're adding new recipes that they try them, and they're usually quite simple and they show off the Tupperware, right? So a good recipe is usually one that will show off more than one piece of Tupperware too. So keep that in mind as you are searching through the recipes. So for example, the simple salsa recipe. The simple salsa recipe has, you know, tomatoes. It's got a jalapeno, I think, in there. It's got an onion, and you basically mix it all together. It's very few ingredients. You throw them in the supersonic chopper. But instead of having a fresh tomato, you've got canned tomatoes in the recipe. And that is very strategic because the canned tomatoes, you need a can opener to open it, right? You're not going to use, you know, just any can opener. You're going to try to bring your Tupperware can opener, and you can use the can opener, or, you know, whoever will use it, but you are going to be using the can opener to show off the can opener as well as showing off the supersonic chopper. And I believe there's maybe even, you know, there's ones that have the zested press. So you're going to be showing off the zested press as well as you make that recipe. So the good recipes, the ones from Tupperware, often will have more than one piece of Tupperware involved. And that's a pretty nice way to show off many things all with one recipe, right? So that's important to the home party. You want to be trying to show it off as much as possible. Another important thing about the recipes is the host will provide the ingredients. So you're going to ask that of the host, you know, send them the recipes and say, choose a recipe from here, a recipe from here. You're going to be able to provide the ingredients if you could please, and I'll provide you a thank you gift for doing that. So many of these items might already be in their kitchen, you know, but if they're not, you want the host going out to provide them. That's not something that you are going to do as the consultant, okay? And if they have any questions, you can work through that with them as well. So those are, I think, all I have to say about the recipes. Oh, you know, one more important thing. If you have not tried a recipe, I strongly suggest trying it before the party, okay? So a home party is great, and you know, things happen and they will happen, but it's not the place to try out a recipe for the first time. So if you have never made a pressure cooker lava cake, try it ahead of time. It's a fabulous recipe. I love it. But try it ahead of time before you show up at the party, so you're not, you know, staring at your phone like this the whole time during the party, trying to figure out how the recipe even works. You'll be familiar with the recipe because you have tried it before. So I strongly encourage you guys to suggest recipes that you know how to do, that you're going to be comfortable with, and try them ahead of time if you're not comfortable with them, okay? So a couple days before the party is the time that you want to ask the host, how are the invites going, right? Okay, so so in my little host folder here, it was stuck at the back, so I forgot about it. But I have a host challenge sheet. So you're going to check in a couple days before and ask them how are their invites going. And in that little folder there, I had a little challenge sheet. And maybe you've seen these with Facebook parties. They're similar with that, just for the home party. And this is going to help you or help your host. It's going to be your host coaching all on here. So what this sheet says is I'll give you an extra gift for every single item that you do. It says send me your guest list within 24 hours, have 8 guests in attendance, have 1 party waiting, 1 person who has booked a party already. Take 10 minutes to listen to our opportunity, where you're going to tell them about the Tupperware membership. Collect $250 in paid outside orders prior to the party. So that's if they collect orders from people who cannot attend the party. And hold your party on the original date that you booked. So this little sheet has all 6 of those on it, and you can talk with them when you give them that folder, mention it, go through it, ask them if they have any questions, but that will kind of give them a goal, what to work towards, right? You want them to be thinking about those things as they are going towards their party. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But a couple days before the party, that's when you want to kind of bring that up again, that sheet, and you can ask them, well, how are your invites going? Do you have your 8 invites? And they will, let them know if maybe they forgot to invite already, which wouldn't be ideal. But, maybe they've invited some, they need to check back. Maybe they've had 8 people already say, yes, for sure, I'm so excited, I will be there. And that gives you an idea of what to expect on the day of the party, right? You can ask them if they've, asked anybody if they'd be interested in hosting a party. You can ask them if they've had any outside orders coming in, those type of things, just to remind them. Those are awesome goals for them to have for their party, right? And a couple days before, when you do that check-in, you want to make sure that you're excited for your party that you have booked with this person, right? So you want to make sure that excitement comes from you and that it's coming across loud and clear that you are excited for their party to come to their home, to be welcomed into their home, and to welcome their guests and show off the Tupperware. So if you are doing it via text or messenger, or if you're doing it on the actual phone call, make sure that you're sounding excited about coming to their house the next day, because at this point in the party, depending on who you were hosting with, some people may be like just really, really excited about their party and can't wait. Other people may be feeling, apprehensive that, oh man, what have I got myself into? And you want to make sure you are supporting them, encouraging them, and being excited for them. So keep that in mind whenever you check in with your host leading up to the party. Give them some encouragement, especially if you're getting the feeling that they might need extra encouragement, right? Then let's move forward to it's the actual day of the party. So everything I've talked up till now has all just been, things you want to think about before the party. But let's say it is the day of your home party. Today is the day, right? Call or message your host first thing in the morning and say, I'm really excited for your party. Can't wait. Make sure you are reassuring them and giving them that excitement. And ask them if they found all the ingredients to the recipes. And that is super important to remember, because sometimes hosts forget. And if you message them early in the morning, they hopefully still have time to stop at the grocery store, or maybe they realized they were going to pick up garlic later, but they forgot to pick it up, or something like that. It's a good reminder. In some situations, something might have came up, and they will say, oh shoot, no, I didn't make it to the grocery store and I can't make it today. Then that is when you have that little heads up, the host forgot to buy stuff. Hopefully you can pick it up on your way to the party, which isn't ideal, but at least you have the ingredients for your recipes, right? So always check in with them to see if they have got the ingredients for your recipes. And ask them if they have an update on the guest number, how many people are expecting, depending on what they said 2 days ago. If they said 2 days ago, they are expecting 10 people, it's going to be awesome, so excited. Then maybe you don't need to ask that question again. But if they were still unsure about who would be coming, it's a good idea to just follow up and ask them what to expect for their party, right? When you attend a home party, it's also important to think about what to wear. That is majorly different than a Facebook party, of course, because a Facebook party, people don't see you. And if they do see you during your live videos, they probably only see the top up. But here they are seeing all of you, right? So always think about what you are wearing to a home party because this is your business. You are meeting people in person, and very likely this is the first time they are meeting you. It might be their first impression of you, and you want it to be a positive one. And what you are wearing makes a huge impact on that, right? So try to dress professionally. You don't have to be dressed, like you're going to a fancy wedding or anything like that, but don't dress in your pajamas either. Just remember, it is the first impression of you for future customers, future team members, and future hosts, right? So you always want that to be positive. Tupperware shirts are fabulous. So I'm wearing one right here. If you don't already have a Tupperware shirt, TOTL store, again, has iron-ons that you can plaster onto absolutely anything. Some of them will say Tupperware, some of them will say I party for a living. There's many different ones that you could choose from, so choose the one that you like the best. Grab a black shirt or, a different colored shirt, it doesn't have to be black, and you can iron that on and you will have, kind of a uniform that you can wear to the party. You want to be recognized that you are the Tupperware lady at the party, right? So throw on a Tupperware shirt. Another great option is a Tupperware apron. So if you are fortunate enough to have a Tupperware apron already, you can just slip that on top of whatever you are wearing, and that will be what you wear for the party. If you don't have one, you can make your own with an iron-on a regular apron, or you can ask your director for a challenge and see if they have one kicking around. They do come around from Tupperware themselves from time to time, so watch out for those. And if you see Tupperware offering them, be sure to snap one up as quickly as you can because they are golden, those Tupperware aprons. So when you're setting up for your party, you don't need to bring all the Tupperware that you own. That's pretty important to know. You only want to bring what you need to the party. So don't bring everything. Bring the Tupperware that you need for your demo recipes. So start with those recipes that you gave the host, or that the host chose, I should say. Start with the recipes that the host chose and go through there. Make sure you have as much of the Tupperware as you possibly can. Bring that with you. So, if you don't have the can opener yet, then, don't stress about it. Make sure that the host has a can opener maybe. Don't stress about that, but bring as much as you are able to show off for those recipes, right? Same thing goes for the membership bundle. That is a fabulous item to bring because that is the best deal that Tupperware offers. You want to make sure you are bringing that to the party to show it off. And if you joined and you got that membership bundle, then fabulous. You should have most of those items already. If you joined with the virtual membership, maybe you don't have those items yet. But I really encourage you guys to work towards it because it's such a great thing to show off. So if you don't have it, you can use your commission to purchase them straight out at a 25% discount. You can work towards hosting your own party every month or every couple months, and you're going to get those items for free. You can choose them, or you can ask your director for a challenge for this item or that item, and just bring as much of that bundle as you have, along with a printout, right? We have the printouts that say membership bundle, or the deluxe kit is going to be $149. The virtual membership is going to be $20. So have that printout. I don't have it here to show you, I'm sorry, but have that printout that shows what it is worth. Set it up, bring as much as possible of the membership bundle, put it on its own little corner, so guests can come in, they can check it out, and they will be so pleased that you brought it. Show them the best deal that Tupperware offers is right there available for them to purchase, right? Catalogs and brochures, of course, you want to make sure you are bringing those to the party. Hopefully the host gave you an idea of how many people they are expecting, so if you're bringing 5 catalogs, or if you're bringing 15 catalogs, or if you're bringing maybe 20 catalogs, but you want to have somewhat of an idea how many people are coming, because that's going to affect what kind of supplies you bring for the party, right? Always bring a few extra. Always make sure they have your name and your number and maybe your Facebook contacts or your VIP group on there, because many guests won't go home with those catalogs or brochures, but if they do, that's never a bad thing because that is a customer connection. They're walking out the door with your contact information, right? So make sure it is on your catalogs and brochures that you bring. You want to bring change, as in like cash. You want to bring cash because people will still pay with cash, especially at a home party. Lots will e-transfer you or pay by credit card, but you'll get people paying you with cash, and you want to be able to provide a little bit of change if needed. Prizes for draws or games. So prizes for games or draws, they don't have to be big things, right? So you could do an eco bottle. You could do snack cups, like 1 or 2 snack cups. You could do the cute little keychains that we have that you can get as sales aids. These are awesome. People love them. It doesn't have to be big prizes. People are excited to win, right? So make sure you bring a few prizes. And again, bring a few extra. If you don't give them out, that's perfectly fine, but at least you have them there to be able to give. So hopefully you have a little bit of Tupperware that you can, use to give away. If not, work for those challenges because will have some in no time if you start doing the challenges, and you can use those to pass out to customers for prizes or draws, right? Make sure you have a few of 1 or 2 of these host packages because if it is your goal to book 2 parties from this party, then you want to make sure you have this host package. When that host books, you can give this to them for their own party. Make sure it has brochures coming up. So if you are booking a party at the end, or if your party, pardon me, is at the end of the month, you know that the current brochures aren't going to be applicable anymore. You want to have the future brochures in here ready to go, the brochures that will happen for their party. So have a couple of those. Have a few sale items. Don't worry if you don't have them all, but Tupperware gives us that sampling opportunity, right? When before the sale opens, we are able to purchase some of the sale items that are coming out, and you can bring those with you to the party. Don't stress about bringing them all because the sales kind of sell themselves usually. But if you have them, absolutely throw them in. The sample sheets. So it's a good idea to print off a couple of those sample sheets, have them there ready to show off because people will be interested in the best deal available to them, right? Make sure you show up 30 minutes before the party to the host party or to the host home. And that's important because you want time to be able to set up your bundle, take out your sale items, talk to the host before guests arrive, and you just don't want to feel like you're in a rush, right? You don't want to arrive at the same time as the guests. You want to be, calm and have that opportunity to chat with the host before the party starts. And when guests are coming in, you want to be able to greet them at the door. Maybe they've met you before, maybe they know you, but there's a good chance they don't know you, right? So you want to be able to introduce yourself as the Tupperware rep at that party, right? And start building those customer relationships right as soon as people walk in the door. So make sure you are there early so you have time for all of those things. During the actual party, when people are there, plan for your party to last about 2 hours. So that is the magic, maybe not magic, but that is the time frame that you want to shoot for. So if you have, like other commitments in your day, or if you have maybe babysitters that you've gotten for this party, kind of keep that figure of about 2 hours in mind. And that's a good length of time for the party, right? If it's in the evening or if it's in the daytime, it usually is a good figure to have in your mind. If guests stay later, past those 2 hours, that's absolutely fine, but it does not mean that you need to, right? You can still wrap up your party portion and you can take off. You don't need to hang out all day until every last guest has left your party or your host house, right? So before you get started, let's say the host or the guests have arrived, before you kind of kick off your party, ask your host if they're expecting anyone else. Maybe there's a few stragglers or something. Maybe they got a text saying someone is coming late. Depending on how late it is, you could maybe wait, maybe you could not. But just ask your host, check in, and then if they say, no, we're good to go, then it is time to start the party. And this is the fun part. Tupperware is fun. Home parties are fun. So you want to make sure you are having fun with it, right? So the best thing to do right off the bat, I would say, is to thank the host. Always make sure you are thanking your host at the beginning, throughout, at the end. thank your host and treat them like gold because they are hosting this party that is bringing in your business. So you want to make sure you are grateful to them and showing them that. So just say thank you so much for hosting, and just throw that in everywhere, all throughout the party. But usually you want to gather around your kitchen table or the kitchen table. So if everyone's kind of congregating in the living room, and they will fit around in the kitchen, then invite them over. We're gonna get going here. Come on over to the table. If there's too many people to fit in the kitchen area, then ask the host if you can move the table to the living room because you want to do your demos right on that table, right in the middle of everybody where they're seated, right? Because you want everyone to be able to see the demonstrations up close and personal, to be able to touch and feel the Tupperware, not to have it far off on some corner. So you're not doing, a presentation in front of a sitting group of audience. You want it to be an involved thing so people can get involved as much as possible. So have them sit around the kitchen table if it is possible. And usually I like to start with a game to get people feeling comfortable because some parties will have people that know everybody, but other parties might not. They might not know other people in the group. So you want to do an icebreaker game, something to just, get the laughs going, get them feeling comfortable. So if you guys go to top of the line, search party games, they will come up with a list, like an album, I should say. And you will find lots of good ideas stuck in there. So one of my favorite ones to do is the left-right game, and you'll find there's a few different versions of this, but basically what it is you're going to give out a prize. You're seated in a circle, right? Whether it's in around the kitchen table or maybe the living room if you have to. You're seated in a circle, and you're going to give one person a prize. It could be a water bottle, it could be something a little bigger, or if there's a huge group of people, like maybe if you have more than 8 people, I would suggest giving out 2 prizes, space them out in the circle. And how the game works is you read a short paragraph, and if it says left, they pass the prize left. If it says right, they pass the prize right. So the prize goes around the circle, and whoever ends up with it at the end gets to take the prize home. So the reason I love that game is it gets people involved right away. And even if they're kind of introverts or they don't know people at the party, they can be involved with that, and it opens them up, and it's a fabulous icebreaker even if people don't like talking to other people or they don't know people or they don't feel comfortable. So that is why I love the left-right game to kick it off. Another fun one I like to do is I call it the white powder game. I have these Tupper minis and they are filled with white powder that you find in your kitchen. I have 8 of them, okay? And I get people, they're all numbered 1 through 8, and they just need a piece of paper and a pen, and everyone can try to guess what the white powder is in these. And we have a laugh because there's drugs that have white powder, so we all have laughed, and it kind of just gets things going and sets the mood. But the things I have in them actually are cream of tartar, baking powder, salt, sugar, baking soda, cornstarch, powdered sugar, and flour. So things that you would find in your kitchen, and they're surprisingly hard when you have to identify all of them. Some of them are dead giveaways, but that's just another fun one that you can do without, putting people in front of other people. And you can do those games as well, but I like those two because it just gets people involved, even if they're not outgoing. So one of those is usually my kickoff games, but like I said, look in the album and there are a ton of other ones that you can pick from. And then I have a game as the party progresses that people can participate in during the demonstrations, and they can keep earning. So there is something that you call an auction party, and if you search on top of the line, you will find more information about that. And that is where you get money throughout the party. And at the end, you can kind of auction off some bigger prizes, and whoever has the most money will take home that prize. I do a simpler one, or just a different method, I would say. And I have these little tickets. And if someone helps with a demonstration, they will get a ticket. If someone asks a question, they will get a ticket. And whoever has the most tickets at the end will be taking home a prize. And I don't tell them what it is necessarily, but at the end, the one with the most tickets gets a fun little prize. And really that gets people asking questions throughout your demonstrations. So it won't be like dead silence. No one wants to speak up. Instead, everyone wants to speak up and they want to be the first people to ask that question, because it can only be asked once. You can't ask the same question over and over again. So people are more involved, they're willing to help with the demos, they're willing to speak up and ask their questions because they get a ticket from it. And this is usually a job that I will give to the host. During the party, I will say to the host, this is your job, you pass out the tickets, and they love to have fun with it and interact with their friends, and they pass out the tickets. If you don't have, something like this on hand, you can, or maybe you forget it, because that happens too. You can use whatever the host has on hand. You can use a jar of pennies. You can use a jar of hair clips. You can use, like whatever the host has kicking around. It's fun to use, and they collect them and they will get prizes at the end for that. So that's kind of one that keeps going over the whole thing. So after you're done your introduction game, maybe you could do an on-time draw in there as well. You go into the demos, the core of the party. And for the demonstrations, those recipes that your host has selected, you want to get the guests involved. So if possible, touch the Tupperware as little as possible. You have to tell them maybe, what this item is or what that is. Maybe tell them how it works, but don't do it for them, because even if they've never used these items before, that's going to have an impact on how their perception is the first time that they are using the Supersonic Chopper, or maybe the first time they're using the Great Master, right? That's great. If it's their first time trying it in front of other people, that's awesome. So you want your guests doing the Tupperware demos as much as possible. Ask them to come up, ask them to help you. And get them to do all of that themselves. We want to make sure that they are using it. Their friends, like other people at the party, they might even want to jump in and try it too, right? So there are some recipes where I will just pass it around the table. So if you are doing a recipe in the Supersonic Chopper and it's half chopped up or whatever, pass that around the table, especially if you're sitting in a circle. Pass it around. Let everyone have a pull of that cord, because when they touch it, they will understand, man, that works so easy. Or there's some recipes that have pudding and you are making pudding in the quick shake. Get everyone around that table to be touching that item and to shake it up and to give it a chance to try it. So make it a team effort to do the recipes. Get everyone involved as much as you can. And while they are doing that, you want to, tell them how to use the product if you have to, but also that's your opportunity to talk about the product. While it is being used, you can talk about how, the Great Master is going to save you so much time, because instead of shredding for hours and hours on end, to make that carrot cake, you're going to be done in 5 minutes. So talk about the product while those demonstrations are being used. We have a saying, it's features tell, benefits sell. So the features of the product are usually, there telling you how the product works, but make sure you were talking about the benefits of the products as well. So talk about, how is this product going to save you time in the kitchen? How this product is going to save you money, because you're not going to be wasting as much produce, or you're not going to be spending more money on shredded cheese than you really have to. Or how is it going to reduce space in your kitchen, because you have one base and multiple attachments for the top. Talk about those benefits that will really impact people's kitchens. And those are always good things to be bringing up as you go along. Okay, so one other thing, if things go wrong with the demonstrations, and they definitely will, it's just a matter of when or what. But when things go wrong with the demonstrations, don't worry about it, because those things will happen, and it's best just to go with the flow, laugh it off, and those will stick out more in your customers' minds than anything, right? So some examples is maybe the host forgot to take out the butter that she had to take out in the morning to let it come to room temperature. Maybe she forgot it, right? Just laugh about it and, make the best solution that you can and move on. Or maybe the recipe said garlic, 2 to 3 bulbs of garlic, and your host figured, oh, I got garlic powder in the cupboard, I'm not buying those garlic bulbs. You might not know about it until it's time to actually do the recipe, and then she says, oh, I just have this, and you have your garlic press sitting there waiting to go, and you can't show it off because she doesn't have garlic bulbs. There's really nothing you can do about it. So just laugh about it and say, oh, okay, that's fine, and move on with the party, because it's not going to change. You probably can't change anything anyways, so you may as well just move on with it. But there's tons of things that will happen, and people are real, and in real life they are there, and they're just going to laugh about it because it happens to everybody, and it just makes the party more fun. So absolutely just roll with the punches there. So after you are done your demonstrations, maybe your food is still cooking. Hopefully you have 2 to 3 demos that are done. And oh, something else I forgot to mention. If your host is serving wine, bring your wine, your corkscrew, right? Because that's another good chance to show something off. That if you have the drinks, as I'm thinking about people drinking, use your corkscrew. Ask your host, don't open that bottle till I get there because I'm going to bring my Tupperware corkscrew with me, right? And that's your chance to show it off. Again, little things like that, you can work them into your party everywhere. Bring that Tupperware because you can work it in and show it off, right? So after, if you have done your demos, time to eat the food that you guys just prepared. So, as the host is laying it out to, have the dip or have the cake or whatever it is that you made, your host kind of have a time of eating and munching. And that is when I suggest passing out the catalogs and the sales brochures. So I don't lay them out on the table when I'm first setting up for the party. And there's a few reasons for that. The first one is when guests come in, they'll start flipping through the catalog, and they might have had a set kind of dollar figure that they came in with, thinking, oh, I'm going to spend my money on this. And they will open up that catalog, they will flip through it, and maybe they will pick an item. They might even start filling out the order form before you even do your demonstrations. But you don't really want them doing that. You want them to see new products in the demonstrations that they might not have thought of, and you want them to be able to add those to their order forms as well, right? So I don't set up catalogs for that reason. And also, if you are doing the demonstrations, showing off the supersonic chopper, showing off the Great Master, you don't want people, while you are still doing your demonstration, grabbing the catalog that they have, and you don't want them like flipping through it and being like, oh, that looks really good. Where is it? What's the price on that? You don't want them to be doing that. You want them to be paying attention to the demonstration and having fun and enjoying it. There's plenty of time to look up the price of that item later, right? So during the food, when the food is being served and the host is getting that ready, that is when I will lay out the catalogs. I will lay out the brochures, explain these are the sales, this is the catalog. Make sure you take a peek at both. Um, lay out the order forms, some pens, tell them how you accept payments. So if you have cash, make sure you tell them I can take cash, I can take e-transfer, I can take Visa or MasterCard, make sure you're telling them that right off the bat. Or if you're comfortable taking a check, maybe you know the people a bit more, then explain that you can take a check as well, right? You want to be upfront with how those things go. And then as they are doing that, grab some food. So you're allowed to eat too, of course. Take a spot off to the side. As people eat and they flip through the catalogs, they'll chatter amongst themselves about the products. Hopefully some of them have seen the products before or have them in their kitchen. And, they'll be pointing them out to the person next to them and be like, oh my gosh, I love these ice cube trays. Oh man, I have that chopper. It works so good for everything. And they will sell the products to each other, just sitting next to each other and chattering about the products. If they have any questions, they know where to find you. They will come over to where you are seated. Don't feel that you need to, interject when everybody is chatting about every single item and try to sell it, because they'll sell it to each other, and that's perfectly fine. But you want to find a spot off to the side so people can come to you when they have their orders ready to go, and you can have those conversations kind of in a quieter area. And when they come to you to order, you want to be asking every single person if they want to book a party to help your host, or if they want to open a membership to get the great savings on that sample sheet, right? So you want to have a space off to the corner where you can talk about those things. And also, some people just don't want to talk about their order right there where other people are sitting right next to them, right? So that's really important, just to go off to the side. And usually people don't wait, they won't sit there and eat all their food, wait 20 minutes, and then finally decide what to order. Usually people are pretty quick about it. They understand kind of how it goes. And after you have a feel that most people have ordered, or they're all done and people are starting to leave, then you can start to wrap up with the host if most of the guests have left, especially, right? So wrap up with the host. Sometimes you will have a guest or two that says, oh, I'm just really not sure. Can I order tomorrow morning? So then you know, well, you have to wait till tomorrow morning to wrap up with that guest before you can wrap up with the host. But if everyone orders at the party and they are done, then you are free to talk to the host about what kind of goodies they get. So that's when the wish list that hopefully they made already comes into play. You can talk about their wish list with them. You can talk about that half price sheet to see, well, these are really awesome half price gifts if you want one of those. You can talk about the membership with them, and maybe they earned the party bonus with their party. So if they join, you put the party under their account, then they're going to get that party bonus as well. So you want to be going over all those things, same as if you would during a Facebook party, right? When you're wrapping up with the host, but this is in their house. If they need some time because maybe they got a lot of free credit, they need some time to pick it over or to think about it, perfectly fine. But set a date when you will talk to them, or a time when you will talk to them the next day. So, okay, yeah, that's great. Look at this. Can we chat tomorrow at 1 p.m. and make that time slot where you have it free in your schedule so you can follow up with them and you can talk to them to close the party then, right? And if guests are lingering and there's maybe 2 or 3 guests that are going to hang out for a few hours after you leave, perfectly fine again. Set that time with the host when you'll talk to them the next day because you don't want to rush them through picking their free products, right? So set that time the next day when you will talk to them about it and you can go over what they earned. And then when the party comes in, so assuming you've ordered it already, when the party comes in, you can either have it shipped to your host directly, or if you live close to this person, and hopefully you didn't have to drive too long to do your home party, but if you live close with them, within driving distance, I'd suggest just sending it to you, and you can sort the orders, and then you can drop it off with your host, and that saves your host a lot of trouble of sorting the orders, but it also allows you to put in a catalog into every bag, or maybe just a sales brochure into every bag. Your contact information is on there because maybe those customers didn't leave the party with your contact information, and you want to make sure that that one party becomes more of a long-term relationship, customer relationship, right? So you want to get that contact information into their hands. Maybe put some business cards in there if you have a business card. You could throw in some tiny treasures like a funnel or a citrus peeler as a thank you gift into their bags. Those are great things that you can do for the host, and it'll help to build your future relationships with your customers, okay? But so I think that's about it for my home party training. I hope you guys learned some tips and some tricks. If you have never done it before, please let me know in the comments what you loved, what you learned, what you might try at your next party. I think the most important thing though is, something will always seem impossible until it's done. And if you've listened to this training and you think, wow, that is just so much, I'm not sure if I could ever do that, I guarantee you probably could. You could, not probably. You could do it. It will always seem impossible and like such a big thing until you give it a try, and you will have some fun and you might just love it. So it will always seem impossible until it's done. I strongly encourage everyone to give it a try. Start with your close friends or your close family and give it a try. Just have some fun making some recipes together and showing off the Tupperware. So thanks everybody for watching my training, and I hope you all have a great day.